As most of you know, I've spent pretty much my entire life around off-road vehicles. The first time I took a ride in a snowmobile, I was just 6 months old, and I got my first ATV when I was 2. This is due entirely to the love my dad, Mark, had and still has for off-road riding of all kinds. His passion was passed on to me and became my passion. It was a family thing too. Mom rode, and obviously AJ was just as into it as I was.
Well, you can truly say that off-roading has been in kind of our DNA and in the Lester family. I got bitten by the dirt bike bug when I was about 16 or 17 years old and started riding motocross and racing motocross and doing off-road in the summertime. So that was kind of where it started for me. Barb and I, after we were married, had 2 boys, and you know who they are, Luke and AJ. It just became like a natural thing that when they were big enough, I wanted them to experience off-roading. And so they both started off with gas-powered Suzuki and Yamaha 3-wheelers and then 4-wheelers, and it took off from there. And our recreation, well, some families might have done hockey and other sports. We did off-roading. That's what we did together, and we worked on the bikes together. And as the kids got older, we got, you know, tricker equipment and better stuff. And then the avenue opened for snowmobiling, and we got involved in winter off-road on snowmobiles. So then it became 12 months of the year. We were involved, busy doing off-roading, and then racing came. So it was a natural progression. Off-roading is in our DNA, and it most certainly is in Luke and AJ's DNA. Every night when the kids came home from school, we'd be out riding. And if it was in, you know, if it was in May, we were out riding ATVs, side-by-sides, and dirt bikes. And if it was in February, we were on the snow riding snowmobiles, and sort of 5 to 7 days a week. I mean, my boys have logged a lot of miles, and so have I, riding together. And I'll tell you, you can't beat that bond of friendship and fun and good times that you can with off-roading. It's great to teach your kids responsibility, great to teach them how to operate these vehicles and to look after them. They learn a lot of really great life lessons surrounding their involvement in off-roading.
And as time went on, this passion grew. I mean, what kind of kid wouldn't want to jump on an ATV or a dirt bike and grab a handful of throttle every weekend? What I think is interesting about my childhood is that while neither AJ nor myself played team sports, we still developed a very strong sense of sportsmanship and learned so much about respect, responsibility, and self-control. Our family's passion for off-road riding in general eventually led to AJ and I entering our first snowcross races when we were still pretty young. One weekend of racing to just try it out led to a nearly decade-long career for both of us that culminated with the semi-pro national championship for AJ and a pro national championship for me. We definitely found success in racing, but it was so much more than that. Racing for us was always a family affair. We packed the whole family into the motorhome each weekend and travel all over the country together. I would guess that we probably spent more quality time together as a family in just one winter than most families do in a lifetime. All of this eventually led to the whole family working together, publishing magazines and making TV shows. Most people are blown away that we can work together as a family and not want to kill each other. To that I say, try being crammed into a motorhome together for 10 years while dealing with all of the ups and downs of competing at the top levels of your sport. If your family can survive that, working together is a piece of cake. After our racing careers ended, AJ and I went back to enjoying recreational off-road riding, but as it does, time marched on, and it wasn't long before we had kids of our own running around. Having a dad who took the time to help grow my passion for motorsports and seeing how riding off-road had brought our family together in such a meaningful way, I knew from the first time I laid eyes on my oldest daughter, Callie, I was going to follow his example and get my kids into it as well. The difference between Dad getting AJ and I into off-road riding and me getting my kids into it is that he had 2 boys and I have 2 girls. In the beginning, this difference was apparent in two ways. First, if my girls were going to ride their AVTs, as they called them at the time, they had to be pink. And second, riding confidence came at a much slower pace. The second one was really a blessing in disguise. When AJ and I were riding together when we were young, there was always some kind of carnage. We were tough and always got right back on, mind you, but careful was not the word I'd use to describe either of us. My girls, though, were very careful and thoughtful as they learned to ride. It was great knowing they wouldn't try anything they weren't confident they could handle. Now that my girls are older and way more confident, riding together with them has become a lot easier to do and way more fun. The ATVs they ride are bigger now and in turn way more capable, faster, and more stable. The distances we can go has increased significantly, and the lessons and instructions I give are absorbed much more quickly. The main thing that's exactly the same between me and my girls and Dad and his boys as we learn to ride off-road is what it means to each of us, though.
I love having independence when I'm riding, and I just feel like super free and just out there. Riding with my dad means, it just means a lot to me. I think it's something that he really likes and I really like, so I think that's a good mix.
It's a moment that I will remember, and it's fun.
Stops, he looks behind us, and he gives us a hand. And before we start riding, he just makes sure we don't have any more questions, or he talks to us about how the vehicle works sometimes and if we have any questions about that. When my dad rode with his dad, he tells me about it all the time, and I just think that it's really cool that I'm growing up to spend those times with my dad too. Riding off-road is something that our family's always done, and personally I like it, Alice likes it, and I think that hopefully we can do it forever until we can't ride.
For me, riding off-road with my girls brings an indescribable sense of joy and pride. Seeing them develop the same passions and skills that I did at their age is fascinating. It also brings a strong sense of nostalgia, and it's hard not to get emotional when I realize that what I'm feeling as I watch them ride is exactly the same as what my dad felt watching us ride so many years ago.